Hello, everyone, and welcome back to JP Unplugged. My name is Jeremiah, the host of this entertainment podcast, and on this particular episode, we are going to be discussing the Oscars. Yes, that's right, the Oscars are back. Can you believe it? It's already been another year has gone by, and what a wonderful year 2023 was when it comes to film, in my humble opinion. I really enjoyed a lot of movies in the prior year. I really did. And I have to admit, I'm extremely excited about the movies that got nominated for the Academy Awards. So, what we're going to do in this particular podcast is we're going to just discuss my top 5 favorite of the Best Picture nominees. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, but Jeremiah, I was really hoping I could get your predictions because we know how good they are. You know, you always help me with my office pool. Don't fret, everyone. I will be giving those predictions out, not in this podcast, but I will be having a separate blog post on JP Unplugged. So make sure you go over there. I'm going to have it out a few days before the Oscars. So keep checking in with jpunplugged.com, and I will have that up there. And of course, if you're following me on the socials, I will definitely be sharing the link to that post. So you can see all the way through from every single award that's going to be given out, and I'll tell you who I think is going to win. So I will definitely be doing that. So no fret. But no, this podcast, very sweet and simple. Just going to talk about my 5 favorite. You know, the Academy Awards to me is the cream of the crop when it comes to all things award shows. I feel like everyone who does still enjoy watching award shows, like myself, I know not too many people like watching award shows. This one, of course, I feel like it's the one you have to watch. I've always enjoyed it. I don't know. I just, for some reason, I really like it. Probably because I love film, you know? I think that's the real thing. If you're a really big-time film buff like myself, someone who's been enjoying watching pictures since the moment I could as far back as I can remember. I mean, I have always enjoyed watching movies. To me, it's always interesting to see what people think is the best. Now, granted, of course, just like all these award shows, it's very political. I get it, you know? You can make an argument that, of course, many of the movies that get nominated are not really the actual best movies that were out from the year before, but that's just how it goes. But for me, I just really enjoy it. You know, it's a big thing in our family. We love to get together and make fancy foods and have our ballots ready and have a competition, a little friendly wager between our family. It's just a big event for us. I mean, this is kind of like our Super Bowl for the most part. We really enjoy it. So hopefully you're a big fan of the Academy Awards and will find this podcast, entertaining and helpful. I'm going to start going through my top 5 right now, and I'm going to tell you, of course, like I said, a little bit about the movie. Spoiler-free, of course, nothing to worry about. And then after that, I'll close the show. I also want to make an announcement to everyone that this podcast is not just audio. I have decided to dig a little bit into video. That's correct, everyone. Maybe not going to happen for all of the episodes of JP Unplugged for 2024, but I'm going to try to make as many of them available on the YouTube channel. I'm also doing a lot more stuff on social media. You can now find me on the TikToks. Yes, TikTok is going to completely crash now that old people like myself are on there. But I'm going to be doing a lot of short-form stuff on there as well, mostly entertainment stuff. I have been sharing things about food and drinks and cocktails. I got a special little project that I'm working on, not only for YouTube, but also for TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. So now you can find me. You can still find me on the old Twitters /X, whatever you want to call it. Still can find me there at JP Unplugged. But on Instagram and TikTok, you can find me at the real JP Unplugged because I couldn't secure JP Unplugged on those other ones. So there you go. All right, so let's move into my top 5. Is Emma Stone the most courageous actor today? Well, I certainly felt that way after watching Poor Things. And yes, Poor Things comes in at number 5 for my favorites of the 2024 Best Picture nominees. Now, for those of you who have not seen it, this is definitely a very bizarre take on the Frankenstein-like story. It is a very unique look about self-discovery, and one of the things that I really appreciated about this picture is it stands out amongst the other nominees for Best Picture. It is so different and so wild to watch. It's one of those kind of movies that when you leave the theater, you're still thinking about it quite a bit, and it's still on your mind, living rent-free in your mind for many days afterwards. And to me, that is a really good sign, a well-made picture. Now, Emma Stone's character, Bella, does explore many things during her journey. A lot of viewers will probably get caught up in a lot of the parts where they're exploring her sexuality. But for me, I thought the most interesting aspect of the film was what she just learns about life in general. The good, the bad, the ugly about human life. That's what I found most meaningful about this film. So not only did Emma Stone crush it in this part, but I also have to give a little bit of love to Mark Ruffalo. Mark's performance in this movie was outstanding. I am not going to lie. Every time he's on screen, you are going to laugh. He is just so delightful in this picture. I loved it. And by the way, who knew? He has a pretty nice plump little ass. Visually, this film is gorgeous. The art direction was phenomenal. The costumes, amazing. I just could not believe how beautiful this picture was. So a lot of love goes to that. Now, I will admit this movie is definitely not for everyone. Many people will probably be turned off by the very graphic violence and sexual content. But if that is something that does not turn you off, then I would highly recommend watching Poor Things. Hi, Barbie. Is that the most catchy movie quote from 2023? I know, I certainly think so. That's right, Barbie comes in my number 4 spot here. Now, I'll admit, I did not know what to expect when I went to go see this movie. I figured it would have many gags about life as a doll or something like that. I assumed they would explore themes of feminism and the importance of women's empowerment. And the film did do all of that, but much more. It surprised me because I walked away from that movie feeling emotional. The movie does explore the positive and negative aspects of what Barbie represents. I loved how they handled the topic of the patriarchy. Greta Gerwig does a phenomenal job utilizing the comedic aspects of the material to convey the continuing struggles of being a woman today in such a lighthearted way. So all the performances, of course, are fantastic. I really cannot think of one that I did not like. The direction by Greta is amazing. She did such a great job. I feel so bad about her getting snubbed for Best Director. I really felt like she deserved it. And I'll close by saying something else. I loved how the film itself also explored the overall general discussion about humanity. Being human, of course, as we all know, is not easy. We all have to grapple a little bit with stereotypes on what society puts on us. But in the end, it doesn't matter if you're a Barbie, a Ken, or an Alan. What matters most is that being yourself is enough. And that's my takeaway from the movie Barbie. Is Alex Payne back? I think so, after watching his delightful Christmas tale, The Holdovers, which is my number 3 on the list. His last major film, Downsizing, was considered by many, including myself, to be subpar at best, but The Holdovers is one of Payne's best work, in my opinion. The performances by Paul Giamatti, Divine Joy Randolph was spectacular. Mwah! Chef's kiss, for sure. But the heart of this film is all the different things that each main character is facing during their lives and how Alex Payne explores each one. You have a professor who seems to be unsatisfied with his career choices, a grieving mother, and a student who seems to be struggling with rejection. Each character helps the other to build a close relationship throughout the film. The story does deal with a lot, but it does it in such a heartwarming way. I just absolutely loved every second of The Holdovers. Sure, you can make an argument that the movie maybe had been a little bit too cliche in some parts. Yeah, that's fair. I found the direction to be really good. I highly recommend watching The Holdovers. Is Jeffrey Wright the most underrated actor working today? Well, after watching American Fiction, I know I certainly feel that way. American Fiction comes in on my number 2 spot for 2024's Best Picture nominees. Now, just like a lot of these other movies I'm talking about, every performance in American Fiction is phenomenal. Really. Jeffrey Wright is just leading the way when it comes to this picture. Now, many people have been talking about the fact that both Jeffrey Wright and my man, Sterling K. Brown, who deserves all kinds of love, the fact that they're the first black duo to be nominated for an Oscar for the same picture was just fantastic to learn. Well deserved. Love these two gentlemen so much. They really hold down this picture very well. But like I said, it's not just them. Both Tracy Ellis Ross, Issa Rae steal the show in many times when they're on screen. So we get great performances not only from the men, but also from the women. This is Cord Jefferson in his first featured directorial debut, and let me tell you, he nails it. I cannot wait to see what more work he does on the big screen because this movie was really good, especially for his first time out and directing a major picture like this. The film does a great job of exploring the topic of black stereotypes in literature and looking at how black voices are being portrayed. Many important themes are discussed in this film, and it's done really, really well. To me, I really feel like, though, the film really does a fantastic job in dealing with relationships. Wright's character, Monk, is a very complicated guy. You know, he lost sight of what is important in the picture. He actually becomes a little bit too full of himself, a little bit arrogant, shall we say. But after going back home and reconnecting with the people that are most important to him, he finally starts to realize his own flaws, and he was able to work through them throughout the picture. This is definitely a movie I cannot wait to watch over and over again, and if you have not had a chance to see American Fiction, I would definitely recommend it. Is Oppenheimer Christopher Nolan's best work yet? Well, I tell you what, after watching Oppenheimer, I'm going to say yes. That's right, Oppenheimer is my number one favorite movie from the 2024's Oscar Best Picture nominees. Not only did Christopher Nolan lay out the groundwork of what took place during the Manhattan Project that changed basically the world forever, but he also put us really in the mind of Robert Oppenheimer throughout the film. The underlining of this movie is really a courtroom drama, but the way Nolan and his editors craft this picture, they make it so compelling that you don't even realize you're watching a courtroom drama. The film is very long, which I know turns off a lot of people, but I was never bored at any point watching the movie. But everything about the picture is gorgeous. So well done. Like I said, the editing is phenomenal. All the performances are so special. I appreciated what every actor did with each character, and I expect all of them to do very well in this year's Oscars. The technical achievements of this picture is just fantastic. From the sound, the cinematography, everything was right on par. And I really feel like that the film will always be remembered by Ludwig's brilliant score. This score by him just still rattles in my brain all the time. I probably have listened to the score by itself at least 10 times. It's just that good, and it really helps move along the story perfectly. The film never really loses sight of what it is, and it really helps the audience walk away with a clear understanding of the work that took place during this time and what Robert Oppenheimer had to go through. In the end, the film reminds us that humanity is probably the most dangerous weapon. So my top pick, of course, is Oppenheimer. All right, everyone. Well, that is it for me. Hopefully you enjoyed this podcast. It's been a long time since I've done videos, so I'm sure the video portion of this is horrible, but hopefully it didn't turn out too bad. Like I said at the top of this cast, if you are interested in the video, if you go over to jpunplugged.com, you'll be able to find the link here in episode 24, or you can just go on over to the YouTube page and find it there. I think this is probably going to be my first video for JP Unplugged, so should be very easy to find this one. Also, like I mentioned, be sure to follow me on the socials. If you are still on X or Twitter, I still have a presence there. Have not abandoned it. You can find me there at JP Unplugged. Very simple. But as I mentioned, I'm going to be doing a lot more short form videos. In fact, I'll be doing hopefully more of this stuff than even dare I say, the old audio podcast. So if you're interested in my opinions about certain things in the entertainment world, make sure you're following me on TikTok and Instagram at The Real JP Unplugged. So that's going to be it for me, everyone. Like I said, hopefully you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, of course, as always, make sure you subscribe, you like, you share all that good stuff that you hear all the time from all these podcasts. And with that said, I hope you have a fantastic day, and thank you for listening.